discovered that when we had a shift in the music production in Nigeria, it was one of the key players when we were all young then. Also, when we had a shift in media, I mean, in terms of video production in our country, he was also one of the key person. Also, when we were going to go from one type of technology in terms of media to the other, he was one of the major pioneers, again, in setting up those media platforms, the biggest media platforms in Africa. And again, when I look at the nation as a whole, politically, it's become, again, one of the major and key players of politics in Nigeria. But not only that, advocacy and interaction between the government, the people, the forces, that there be an international community. You may look at him in size, but he's one man that has a button that knows how to press the nation. This morning I want to please welcome with me my friend and partner in business and in many other things, a great man, an erudite. I call him Distinguished Master. In Nigeria, they call him Sega or Segalink. But his name, this morning, please welcome with me Pastor Segun Awosanya. Please.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Well, I came here to be blessed. I came here also to be a blessing. And I also came here to receive and to worship with in the assembly of God's people. You know, as the Bible says that we must not and should not forsake the gathering of God's people. And I believe that where two or three are gathered, you know, God literally brings a seat in their midst and resides in their midst because he inhabits the praises of his people. I never knew I was going to be called up here. I just wanted to sit down there and be blessed so that I can take that blessing back with me to my country that is indeed in need of that blessing and that healing. My standing here today is a miracle because for years I've taken a life of service, you know, to my community, to my nation. And I will say years. When I say years, I mean decades, 2 decades. Don't mind my look, though the white patch gives my age away, even though I'm Chinese size or Japanese size, you know, which works for me. I still shop in the children's section. But still, my age is still my age, and my experience, my exposure, you know, opens my eyes to a lot of things that need to be fixed in society and to the needed bridges that need to be built in the gap between the people, between the leadership and the led, between the town and the gown. Over the years, we sent children to school for education, but in recent times, we all can admit that what we have out there is no longer education, but indoctrination. People are being indoctrinated, and you find that regardless of the degrees that people get, they don't become solution providers to society. They are not innovative enough to change or impact visibly their society, but they live to eke a living, to earn so that they can pay bills, which is not the purpose of anyone. God created us for something. We all have different footprints, different fingerprints, different nose print, tongue print for a reason, because we're uniquely made to solve a certain problem. And if we do not find that purpose, it will always be very difficult for us to validate ourselves. And that is why you see in our world today, people live for external validation, which never satisfies. I'm from a country where, you know, over the years, I've studied people who are leaders in our society who establish their notoriety, you know, based on the identification of a problem. In other words, like what babies do. When a baby feels uncomfortable, the baby cries. And then you know whether the baby is hungry, whether the baby wants to be carried, whether the baby wants comfort and the rest. But I have seen that in today's world, people cry for a living. They cry for attention. They cry for other people to notice that they are crying. And nothing else. No problem is solved. Just the cry. You see educated people with good degrees and all, they went to school, they took student loans at the expense of the nation just to be crying, just to be calling for attention. And no problem is solved. And then we learn good words and big words. We go to school in order to scandalize other people, to weaponize our knowledge against the good of others. You see some societies and some communities that are impregnable. They hold themselves together. They see themselves as families regardless of their tribes or so, but they grow together, they help themselves. But in some societies, rather than to complement one another, we compete against one another. We draw each other backwards. We feel violated when other people are celebrating. When other people are happy, we feel sad. And I don't know why we have decided to wire ourselves or to rewire ourselves like this, because this is not what God created. Because the Bible says that everything He made in a beautiful way. So these are some of the things that my young mind had been occupied with, even from the age of 6. So I have learned to be a solution provider to my society. I am not a good receiver because I believe I had to give. If I'm in my school, in every environment I find myself, I know that I need to give to that society. The first time I came into House on the Rock in Lagos, God told me that this church that you are visiting today, there is something I want to use you for here. Mind you, this young man that walked into that church, I was in my teens then. I had only 2 shirts. I wash one dry and then take the other, and 1 trousers, and then probably a pair of shoes, and that's all. And those materials that I've just mentioned, I bought them myself because my parents, I'm from a family of 4. I'm the last born of my family, and my parents believe that they need to break the spirit of a child, before, and for the child to be able to conform to what they want to do. In other words, they want to live vicariously through your life. My mother wanted me to be a doctor so that she can be called mommy doctor. That's all. Just for that societal recognition. Yes, his son is a doctor. Even if I'm carrying placard for a living, striking, going on strike, for lack of being paid my salary and my dues and the rest. And even as at that time, I saw the future. That there's no future in medicine in my country. And it was established. So I told my mother, every time adults look into my eyes and say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'll tell them, I want to be an analyst. I want to be able to help people figure out their vision. He said, what profession is that? I said, I don't have a name for it yet. They laugh at me. There's a prestigious university in Nigeria, University of Lagos. Nobody in my family has ever been to a university. They all went to Polytechnic. So it was more like our own family position, as in it's our disposition to go to Polytechnic, because we don't know enough people to gain admission in the university. But when I talk to my cousins and all, and I say, I'm going to go to this school, and I'm going to cross over to this school, I'm going to go, they will laugh. It sounded like a joke to them, a big joke. They will laugh on the floor hysterically. And I'll be wondering, why are these people like this? Because they have believed, they pitched a tent where they are, that nothing can happen beyond here. This is the end. This is our lot in life. And to God be the glory. I went to school. I went to that same school, Yaba College of Technology. They call it School of Tension. The first day I went into the school, it was evening. People were using lanterns to read at night. Some people were drooling on their books, and that's how they will carry the book back to their room at night. Yet they will fail and have carryover. Because the lecturers don't believe in impacting knowledge than to break the spirit of people. Subject them to pain, punish them. Some people will bring their children to write exams, to rewrite exams. But when I came into the school, God spoke to me that, look, when you're coming to this school, it's not going to be stressful. You are going to continue to trust in me, and I will use you for wonders. My parents were not rich. I'm from a humble background. But yet, I was making thousands of naira. Then thousands were like millions in school, doing tutorials, kinematics, further maths, areas, under curve, name it. I would teach a hall filled with students from accounting, from different places, teach them tutorials. They pay to enter just so that we can manage the crowd. I did that for a while, was topping my class, crossed over from Unilag, like Yabatech, to University of Lagos. It has never been done in that department before. Never in their history. They have lots of people who fail, lots of people who manage to come back for HND, but nobody has ever crossed from that school to University of Lagos. But because they have already defined the impossibility to me, I just said, I am possible. There's nothing impossible for God. And it happened. And because of me, I will say, a lot of other people were able to cross over as well. Unilag presented his own difficulties as well, but God proved himself God. When people rush to the notice board to check their results, I have nothing to rush for, because in my spirit I feel calm. I believe my destiny is not in the hands of any lecturer. That where I'm going to get to in life, I will get there, regardless of what you score me in my exams. And to God be the glory also. I came out in flying colors. Not because I was extraordinarily brilliant or anything, because I was very busy. I was working, I was a student, I was working, I was paying school fees for other people, I was doing so many other things at the same time, because I love to multitask, to do so many things, because every space that I have, I don't want any devil creeping into my space. So I always get myself busy. So with that, I tell my brain, you only have 15 minutes to study this and get it, because I need to go to the office, or I need to fix this job, I need to fix this client's work or so. So in the midst of all this happening in my academic life, I was serving in a church. That same church that I wear my 2 shirts to. And every time I look at other people wearing suits, looking good, looking whatever, I feel, interesting. Maybe one day, when I grow up, maybe I will be dressing like these people. Thinking that they are fulfilled in their ways, everything is going well for them, they know everything and all. But of course, mine is not to judge anyone other than to live peaceably with all men, do what I can do to add and everything. And truly, truly, as God may have it, every significant change in that church had me in it. The design of our Millennium Temple, which is now the cathedral, the 3D design of the church, the tape ministry, conversion of moving from media tape to CDs, digitizing the media system, and there are so many other things. To the point where we did the impossible. We raised funds in a different way. So many things doors were opening. And then I thought this was it, until God brought a national assignment. That over the years, police officers in this country can seize anybody and kill them and nothing happens, because the Constitution allows them to do so. The Nigerian Police Act of 1943, you can imagine the age, of 1943 was what was given to Nigeria by the colonialists, and the politicians just kept it so, and they kept everything like that, so that they can be using the police against the people to subdue them. And over the years, something called the culture of impunity was birthed and was groomed and was institutionalized, and to the point where it became a religion. So anybody who wears uniform in Nigeria is out to infringe on your rights. And they will do it with so much impunity that there's nothing you can do. Because when a police officer matches you to the ATM machine to rob you, who do you report to? The same police? Because it's a cult. When you go there and you report a crime, for even reporting the crime, you'll be punished all over again. And there's always mortal retribution to your person. So this problem has been so insurmountable to the point where most politicians, after making noise during campaign, when they come in, they just forget about it. Nobody touches such. And no activist or no human rights activist ever come to such. They don't touch police because it's one of the fundamental areas. Of course, why wouldn't it be? Police officers and hierarchy reports directly to the president. So any change in the policing or the criminal justice system per se is like asking the government themselves to change for you, or asking the president to whittle down his power for you. And that never happens in my country. It is a pseudo-democracy. It's not really a democracy. It is more or less military men removing their military jackets and wearing agbada. In other words, wearing the native attire. So and here is a son of nobody trying to now face a national assignment simply because he got baptized, he got born again, and then he's doing well in his local church. But I didn't let that stop me. I didn't let that deter me. I continued to pray that, God, you will show me the way in which to get through to this, because I really, really would not want to leave my life giving this kind of society to my children as a legacy. I'm in the UK today. My children are in Nigeria. I don't have any DSS at my door or police officers at my door, but I know they are safe. And they are safe simply because we have paid the price. We have aligned ourselves with the blood of Christ, and we have aligned ourselves with the grace that is upon our lives, and we have been able to give back to society enough for society to protect us. We built this. We started with carrying out a survey of the various cases that we have in Nigeria of police brutality, when people are even too afraid to express what have been done to them. For being young, or for looking as nice as any young man in this church today, police will arrest you that you are looking too fine. You must be a fraud. And why? Because their salary is next to nothing. They don't have pensions. The places where they stay, where they live, their barracks, your pets can't survive there within 24 hours before they die. And this is where the people who are giving guns to march across our street and to harm our young ones, this is where they live. Their wives have no hope. Their children are hardly educated. They themselves, when they say there's training for police officers in Nigeria is like sentencing them to death or punishment. They will take them to a village. In fact, the trainings are always cited in the local villages of their bosses, where there are hardly water, facilities, or anything. In fact, they will bring the tent for the training from wherever, from Lagos or Abuja. And when they put the tent there, people coming for training will more or less bring buckets from their homes. Some of them will bring water from their homes and travel miles at their own expense for training. And at the end of that training, promotion is not even guaranteed. Some of them are on the same rank for 20 years, for 30 years. They redeploy them somewhere else, and they don't give them allowances. They sleep in their cars. They sleep in their stations. How do you expect this kind of people to enforce the law without helping themselves? This is not to justify their action, but this is just to give you an idea of what the problem we're dealing with is. But over the years, our activists and the people that we look up to in our society, they see all these problems. But rather than try to solve the problem, they didn't. They created an enterprise around the problem. They make noise, they showcase the problem, they get funds from foreign countries, and they perpetuate themselves within that problem. While nothing remains unchanged. The crybaby approach. You hear their names. If you Google, you see a lot of them. Oh, human rights activists, this and that and that. And eventually what do? They convert their notoriety into political collateral, and they run for office and become worse than what they have ever criticized. I looked at the trajectory of all this, and I said, this is not going to be my own portion. This is not going to be my own story. And this is not going to be my own approach to this problem. And the first thing is I opened an account with the Holy Spirit. I'm not going to raise funds. I'm not going to ask anybody for anything. But I know I'm going into an expensive venture. And I also know that it's not something that one person can do. You need collaborations. And even apart from collaboration, it's not something that you can do. The arm of flesh will always fail. It's not something that you can do based on, we're doing this, we're doing that. You need to legislate whatever it is that you're doing so that it can be sustainable. It is a vision that is beyond you. So where did we start? We now started collecting. We did a poll. We started asking people questions. Started running interventions. We created an organization called Social Intervention Advocacy Foundation, SEAF. So what SEAF does is we became a bridge between the police and the people. If you ever have any problem with the police, just call SEAF. SEAF will take note of your call, location of your call, the incident, whether they took money from you, and we always ensure that we return the money. It was during our engagement that we started hearing that police officers in Nigeria refund people when they steal from them. They will give you back your money instantly. Once you mention the name, Sega, God, take your money, I don't want trouble. And why are police like that? Why the sudden change? They changed because they realized that the person they are dealing with now doesn't want fame. He doesn't want fortune. He doesn't want any political power. He simply wants the police to work for the people And he wants the people also to recognize the fact that these are our superheroes who are slaving away, who are serving their nation, and who deserve respect. And this is what has been missing in our equation as a country. People are not selfless. People do things because of what they want to get. And because of this, the people within the system who are abusing people's rights don't see the reason why they should give in to such people or do right or change their ways, because they believe everybody is a hustler. But now that they've seen a new wave of approach, a new manner of approach, a new culture, they are willing to give up their old culture for the new. And we started the police reform. That was where we coined the objective of NSAS Reform Police NG. And what is NSAS? SARS is Special Anti-Robbery Squad. We have Special Anti-Kidnapping Squad, Special Anti-Cultism Squad, and the rest. These are special units, specially trained to engage certain, societal ill. But over time, after they have trained them and they have put them on the streets and given them license to kill, they did not train, they did not give them money, they did not maintain them, so they became criminals. They became the problem they were made to solve. People's children started getting missing. People's husbands started getting missing. People's wives started getting missing. Started dumping dead bodies in the rivers, and lots of things started happening. And government, no matter how much you cry, once it has to do with police, they won't touch it, because the police is what sustains their election rigging system. The police is what sustains the monopoly of violence within the country. So over time, to cut my story short, God helped us, gave us utterance to be able to reach out to the authorities. The culture of Nigeria is such that when people want to run things like this, they demonize the government. They demonize the people. They become abusive. They make so much noise just for foreign grants. But no problem is going to ever get solved, because you are not the president. Because you are not the legislature, you can't pass bills. In fact, what it costs to pass a single bill in Nigeria can buy a whole city in this part of the world. But yet, God opened that door for us. We were able to engage the people, the arms of government, the legislature, the judiciary, the executive, enough to get them on our page. This is why we are doing what we're doing. If the police worked, it's best for you, it's best for your children. Because impunity does not respect social stratification. Whether you are rich or poor, your children can still go missing. Because these people, the impunity has gone for 7 decades. So there's really no going back. But we thank God today. Today we have a new police act called Police Act 2020, facilitated by us. We also have a police trust fund that ensures that police get a decent salary, they get decent housing, and their children go to decent schools. We also have a lot of things. If you look at now, Nigeria is taking shape because police are now becoming democratized. They can now engage the people in a civil way. And then they can now leverage on partnership with NGOs. As I speak today, we are collaborating and partnering with what we call the Complaint Response Unit of the Nigerian Police, where we gather data, and we can have data enough to inform us of early warning signs of whatever protests, riots, or whatever that may happen based on police behavior or abuse of human rights. We can always get those data. And things are changing. Even though we're not where we hope to be yet, but we're no longer where we used to be. So these are some of the things that God has done, in our lives as a nation, in my life as a person, and all. And I want to continue to give thanks. I want to thank Pastor Great, because he's one of our, he sits on our advisory board, and he's been doing great wonders. One of his company facilitated my being coming into the UK after a successful national investigation. What's that thing called again? The panel that investigated the NSAS in Broglie. There was a protest in Nigeria where the Nigerian military, came to run an intervention there, and they turned their guns against unarmed citizens, and they gunned them down. And it became a national issue, and we were called in to investigate the matter and to profile solutions, bring out our findings, and the rest. We did that for a whole 1 year, from 2020, October last year, till this year. and we were able to submit our report. For the first time in the history of the country, also, a government-instituted panel, judicial panel of inquiry or tribunal, ruled against the government. It never happened because people usually think of themselves first. They take bribe and they bury the truth. But we did not do that. Not because I'm too rich, not because I don't need money, but because I have a conscience and because I know I'm conversant with my mortality. Memento mori. I know that I will die someday. And when I do, I know that my children will live and walk this earth. I want to be able to say that I left a legacy in them and for them by doing something, making sure that certain things don't happen again. You see, when you watch CNN and other news broadcasts in the West, and you see a widow who has lost a son, who is crying, who has created a foundation for that child, it is not to bring back the child. It is to protect the children of other people from facing what she has gone through. And that's what keeps that mother alive. We all can choose to be responsible. We all can choose to be Christian. You see, Christianity is not coming to church and sitting down and warming the seat. It's about hearing the word and taking that gospel beyond your church. Not necessarily preaching the gospel, but letting people read the epistle written in your heart, read by all men. That is Christ. Letting them watch you in the things you do, the way you carry yourself, the way you do some things. Let them know that, no, there must be Christ in this person because of the way, the excellence with which you bring out the things you do. There's no impossibility with God. And there's nothing that you cannot do. There's nothing that you cannot do because God is working in you. Christ in us, the hope of glory. I'm little and small, and I like my size. I've been to I've consulted for different presidents in my country. No matter what they are called, they listen to me. No matter what bill is presented, once my name is on that bill, they will sign it into law. I am not even a lawyer. So to tell you how God uses the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. So this morning I came here just to tell somebody that there's something God wants to do in this country, in this nation, that will require you, to require your input. Stop looking at yourself as if you don't amount to much. There's something huge that God want to use you for. If God can use this bush boy from Africa somewhere, to do great things in the most populous black nation, you can imagine what God is doing with you, with the opportunity you have living in this country. It is not by happenstance. We are not talking or seeing. You are not under the sound of my voice by accident. God wants to confirm something in you. And I believe that beginning from today, you will have a testimony. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you. And I believe that God is doing something great in you. Thank you very much. Pastor Grace, thank you.
What a privilege it is. I take it upon myself that I was going to get him out of the country immediately after the report, because by privilege and by his invitation, I was in session for some of the panel of inquiry looking and investigating what happened during NSAS. Either you are a Nigerian or you are not Nigerian, you heard about what happened in Nigeria last year. The NSAS protest, particularly on October 20th, what happened. And some of the times that I will be there with him in the court, I saw how dedicated these men and women were to the call of duty and to the call of service to investigate. But I also saw graphic things that happened. And what most of us were not aware of is that the brutality was not just against the people, but also against the police. A lot of police people were killed. Some of them, their children and wives were raped. And a lot of human beings were killed. And when I saw how dedicated he is, I said to myself, you are getting out of this country. He's not even interested in getting out of the country. He has not traveled in a while. But I said to myself, but I want every one of us to live a life that is so quality. I've been inviting people, as you all know. I've been doing visa for people in this life. Maybe only on one or two other occasions. But on this occasion, in fact, there is no occasion like this one. Because by the time I wrote his invitation, and what have you, guess who was already interested in his document? The overall head of the embassy. When is your application coming in? Not only that, they called him to a meeting. You are going to the UK? Come for a meeting. So when are you putting your application? That is how much. It's not your size. It's your heart. There is no reason why I should have come as far as I've come in life today, except for one thing. I have determined, I've made up my mind that I will serve God and I will serve humanity.